Road. Come feel the Augusta Gardens difference today.
Follow News 1226 on Instagram to see what's trending in your area.
Family members in a panic, calling 911 3, 4, even 5 times within 2 hours.
It's been over an hour.
Yes, ma'am. We've had a high influx of 911 calls. I'm very sorry for your wait.
So what's the holdup? Our I-team investigates.
Plus, these masks could be a thing of the past for thousands of teachers and parents in South Carolina. We talked to Aiken County's top educator about that decision. But first up this evening, it's been a week full of problems at the gas pump, but we could see it coming to an end soon. The long line, the rising prices, all of it.
Today, Colonial Pipeline says their fuel is once again flowing, but not after paying $5 million in ransom. If everything goes as planned, Colonial says things should be back to normal by early next week.
President Biden also speaking today about the shutdown. He says the cyber attack on the pipeline came from Russia, but is not directly Russian government. He also says the U.S. is not ruling out retaliation. Right now, the U.S. is the 4th most cyber attacked country. Behind us here, a live look at all the cyber attacks as we speak, happening right now.
And if you didn't before, you definitely know after this week just how much of a mess these types of attacks can create. News 12's Nick Proto live now from Costco right off Riverwatch Parkway with a closer look at just how often these attacks can happen. Nick.
Well, Laura, like you said, this cyber attack left us in a pretty big mess. Lines behind me at Costco right now, almost non-existent, a 180 from what we saw just a few days ago. But talking with experts today, they tell me while usually not this extreme, cyber attacks are actually on the rise across the country. As long lines at the pump become a thing of the past, experts are now focused on cybersecurity in the future.
To put ourselves in a position where if someone decides to attack us, it is incredibly difficult for them to attack us, or if they do, we have people in place and technology in place to really make that attack less painful.
The FBI says they've seen an uptick of ransomware attacks in Georgia. They also say Georgia leads the country when it comes to business email compromise incidents. That's where hackers send fake emails to organizations.
At the end of the day, the greatest vulnerability in all of our systems is still the human being.
Updating passwords, regularly updating your computer software, and paying attention to what you're doing in public spaces are just a few things Hersey says you can do to protect yourself.
It really starts with education, learning what basic good cyber hygiene looks like.
Hersey says with more commercial growth in the area, Fort Gordon undergoing transformation, and construction to build a new cyber campus, it's more important than ever to make sure our cybersecurity is taken care of.
All of our systems rely on networks. So we need folks that understand how to build and secure those networks.
If you're looking for more information on that cyber hygiene he mentioned, or you want some information on free cybersecurity networks, head on over to our website, wrdw.com.
And Nick, as we just saw in this graphic, the cyber attacks are happening constantly, 24/7. It's like it's a new age now. They're just never going to stop. But thanks for the update there from Riverwatch Parkway.
Which reminds us how important the cyber district is. Right now, we're taking a look over the medical
morning tomorrow and that weekend forecast in just a little bit.
Augusta commissioners say they're looking into complaints about delays in ambulances.
Complaints that came out a month after Gold Cross sent the city a new contract proposal asking for more money. I-Team's Liz Owens investigates whether the problem is Gold Cross or in commission chambers.
911 duty police fire.
Every minute, every second.
Concerned already with his vitals, worried it's gonna make him bottom out.
Feels like eternity in a life or death situation.
I just called at 135 requesting an ambulance, and they're not here yet. I just want to see if I could get ETA on their arrival. Yes, ma'am, we do currently have this call. However, I cannot give you an ETA. Unfortunately, we've had a high volume of 911 calls, but someone should be to the patient shortly, okay?
On April 3rd,
On his way, I was trying to see if they coming.
4 calls came into dispatch from the same Augusta address.
It's been over an hour.
Yes, ma'am. We've had a high influx of 911 calls. I'm very sorry for your wait, but I do have an ambulance on the way.
This is the second time this has happened, and I don't went to the commission with this. This has to stop. A whole hour to pick up somebody.
The caller's frustration spills over in a letter she wrote to commissioners the next day.
Now, I thought that when you called 911, you were calling the number for emergency and could get help in an urgent fashion. I am upset that it took an ambulance longer to get to my father's home than it does for food delivery.
Her
words spark a discussion among commissioners in the newly formed EMS subcommittee.
Is there some kind of timestamp that Gold Cross supplies when they actually have the wheels rolling?
No, sir.
That call.
No, sir. Not currently at the moment. There's no data that we received back from Gold Cross.
Commissioner Ben Hassan is the chairman of the subcommittee.
Well, obviously it's been quite a big concern. We've been getting calls from time to time about people who are making multiple calls, and there's making multiple calls. Sometimes it's been up to an hour before they get any kind of response. I've had law enforcement to call me on a personal level several times, saying that they call what they call ETA, expected time of arrival, and calling the provider and not getting any response.
The problem is commissioners don't even know if there is a problem with Augusta and Richmond County's 911 ambulance provider.
We have no data, no information, and no control from the time we turn that call over.
There's also no contract. Commissioners agreed upon a moratorium of understanding, or MOU, instead of a contract like they had with Gold Cross in the past.
We have seen the success from that and the openness and transparency, and that's why we have pushed for that exact same thing with Richmond County. The reasoning for them not wanting that back in 2019, I couldn't tell you that.
Stephen Vincent is the vice president of Gold Cross. He tells the I-Team he offered to include accountability measures in the MOU, but commissioners rejected it, and nobody seems to know why.
Back when we discussed the current MOU that's currently in place that we're operating under, I remember Gold Cross offering to put one of their dispatchers in our 911 center, and that was declined. Do we know why that was declined?
Currently, the only data available to the county is through the 911 center. All emergency calls initially come through here.
911, do you need police, fire, ambulance?
The I-Team requested the number of people in need of an ambulance who made multiple calls to 911. We found 10% of the more than 10,000 callers called 911 back 2, 3, 4, even 5 times within 2 hours of the first call for an ambulance since January.
Gold Cross is the address of your emergency.
I already called twice. I was just trying to see where the ambulance was.
But the data only tells part of the story. Not every callback is due to a delayed response. And for those that are,
Gold Cross EMS.
Yes, I called for an ambulance about 1:53, and I still haven't got one yet.
it doesn't always explain the factors behind the delay.
I have to call. Every hospital is full. It has taken our trucks numerous times, many minutes, to clear the hospital.
Our I-Team first told you about EMS delays caused by full hospitals last summer.
Meanwhile, EMS crews are being tied up for longer periods at hospitals while waiting on rooms for their patients, leaving few available ambulances for emergencies.
Is there a problem with response times?
We never heard of a single complaint. There was no mention of a complaint with the county until we presented our draft contract.
Gold Cross sent this contract proposal to Augusta Richmond County in February. The commission formed the EMS subcommittee the following month.
A big part of that contract has to do with the subsidy, right?
There is a subsidy portion of the contract, yes.
The City of Augusta provides a subsidy to Gold Cross. It helps covers the cost of people unable to pay for an ambulance. A few years ago, Richmond County routinely paid over $1 million to Gold Cross every year. The current subsidy is about half of that, $650,000, the same amount Columbia County gives Gold Cross.
Part of the reason for the increase, the request, is all of our expenses have increased tremendously, and the indigent population in Augusta has also increased.
He tells us people who can't afford to pay their ambulance bill increased by more than 60% in Richmond County from 2019 to 2020. The I-Team also found 20% of the patients who do pay are on Medicaid in Richmond County, compared to only 7% in Columbia County. Medicaid reimbursement does not cover the full portion of an ambulance ride.
We're not discussing anything around subsidies. We're not knowing anything about contract negotiations.
Commissioners say the discussion is over quality of care.
Have you guys asked for the response times?
We really hadn't done a good job of that, because the issue has been focusing more on that by law they are obligated to provide the service because it's their own. We don't own it anymore.
Without a contract, the county really can't hold you guys responsible for anything. And then you have this EMS council that doesn't want that, declines seeing the data or making a requirement. So they're not holding you responsible. Who does hold a private company like Gold Cross responsible then for, care and response times, that sort of thing?
Well, Columbia County holds us responsible. Jefferson County holds us responsible. We have response time standards that we have to meet in those counties. We can be fined if we don't meet those.
Counties that all have a contract with Gold Cross, something Richmond County still does not.
The proposed contract includes offering up inspection reports, response times, training records, and adding new ambulances to Richmond County. Commissioners, in the meantime, are trying to figure out a way to hold Gold Cross accountable. One way, which Gold Cross suggested several years ago, was adding a piece of software which will link both computer systems together. Liz Owens, on your side.
Yeah, we're talking about a dangerous problem when, as she pointed out, when you have food delivery that's faster than your ambulance coming to the house, that's a problem.
When you're tempted to call an Uber instead of EMS, that is a problem, but it seems to be an ongoing problem because they've been going back and forth with Gold Cross for years in general.
Right, so we'll have to see where it goes from here, if any changes actually happen to satisfy commissioners. Liz, thank you for that. Well, just into our newsroom, we are learning the identities of two people who were killed this afternoon in a car crash in McDuffie County. The coroner now tells us 3-year-old Will Smith from Thompson and 53-year-old Howard White from Lincolnton were both killed in the crash, both pronounced dead right there on the scene. We're told Smith was driving a pickup truck and White was a passenger in a Kia. We'll let you know just as soon as we find out more about that.
New tonight, the CDC says you do not need to wear a mask indoors or outdoors if you are fully vaccinated. The only exception is mask requirements on buses, trains, or other public transportation.
The news comes as Aiken County schools wrap up the first day of a new mask policy, and from here on out, masks are optional for students and teachers and faculty inside school buildings.
The district made the announcement yesterday after Governor McMaster signed an executive order giving parents the power to decide if they want their kids to wear a mask. News 12's Brady Travenell talked to the school superintendent about this new policy.
And Laura, the superintendent says they're following the governor's order and didn't want to deal with any complicated paperwork. I'll explain that in a minute, but let's take a look at the numbers. More than half of staff in Aiken County schools are vaccinated. They took a poll of students 16 and older, and about 6,500 high schoolers, 200 to 300 of them said they would be willing to get a vaccine if offered by the district.
We could tell it was just going to be an unnecessary burden.
Superintendent King Lawrence admits that the governor's order brought about plenty of confusion. They chose to make their own move.
We just knew it wasn't going to be enforceable. I mean, a student brings an opt-out form in, and look at a middle school or a high school, and that student is changing classes throughout the day.
The opt-out form is what students across the state have to sign in order to not wear a mask. But with Aiken County's decision, students don't have to fill anything out. It's a simple and open choice.
The kids have 18 days left of school. Why not, go ahead and end it wearing the mask?
Kathy Capazzoli says her 12-year-old Bella will continue to wear a mask to school. She thinks the governor didn't give everyone enough time to get both shots.
Why chance getting a deadly disease, when you can be vaccinated and keep from getting it and keep from spreading it?
Many other parents,
It is overwhelmingly positive.
say it's a great decision for the school district. But as state health leaders pointed out yesterday, there could be issues with liability.
If someone chooses to take legal action, they can take legal action.
That liability question is a big one. A law recently passed called the Liability Safe Harbor Act says that any state organization can be held responsible for people being exposed to COVID if they aren't following public health guidance. The CDC and DHEC both still recommend wearing face masks inside if not vaccinated.
Brady, thanks for that. A moment to make a quick correction of those identities of the people killed in the accident in McDuffie County we just mentioned. It is not a 3-year-old, but a 23-year-old named Will Smith from Thompson, along with 53-year-old Howard White from Lincolnton, both killed in today's crash. We'll let you know when we find out more. Riley.
It's going to be another.
It is a great time of year to get outside and enjoy the great outdoors. And if you're someone who likes to enjoy it in luxury, glamping is calling your name.
This speaks to me. It does. You know, it's glamorous camping, and it is making its return this summer to Columbia County at Clarks Hill Lake. News 12's Zana Halliburton gives us a closer look around the campsite.
If you decide to come glamping here in Columbia County, this is where you could be staying, something similar to your bedroom. And I've been told a lot of people are already coming out here.
It has been totally amazing. The county has been so supportive. All of the local people have been so supportive. We're booking out. I mean, it's tremendous.
Glamping out at Wildwood Park has all the luxuries you never knew you needed while camping. From beds, a fridge, AC, and even a Keurig inside, it's all to make your experience comfortable.
We're not just here accommodating local people. It's actually generated a lot more tourism. Even though we only have 4 sites, it's amazing how many people you see come from Alabama or other areas of the country to stay with us here.
Kim Holland manages the glamping sites, but she's no stranger to the experience. She says when a site is available, you can find her there.
It is a wonderful way to get outside with your family, enjoy time together, and still have the comforts and amenities of your hotel room.
You're able to stay as long as you like during the week. However, there is a 2-night minimum on weekends. Holland says the experience helps bring back a sense of normalcy.
You can feel like you did before COVID ever existed. You can come out here, no masks necessary, totally free to breathe fresh air and enjoy time with your family.
Reporting in Columbia County, Zana Halliburton on your side.
And by the way, prices vary, but an average week will cost you about $150.
Side.
And by the way, prices vary, but an average week will cost you about $150. But glamping runs through mid-December. The true pioneer spirit on display, right?
About as close to the pioneer lifestyle as I'm willing to get.
I hear you.
So, I mean, I like this. This is probably not for Riley, though. I can't imagine this being Riley.
This is probably the only way I can get my wife to
Yeah, this is Emily's thing.
Yeah.
Which
If that's what it's got to be, it's got to be that.
This is what makes it Riley's thing.
The air-conditioned kayak, the whole 9 yards.
Hey, it doesn't look too bad.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Price a lot.
Keurig there with your.
There's a price you pay for luxury in the woods.
That's right. That's right.
It's called no bug fee.
No bug fee, and it's perfect glamping weather.